During my father-in-law's birthday dinner, the whole family was eating, laughing, and enjoying the evening together. Then, all of a sudden, he placed his wine glass on the table. He looked straight at me and said, "May, tomorrow, go to your company and resign. Your mother-in-law has just been discharged from the hospital. Half of her body can't move anymore. She needs someone by her side day and night. You are the daughter-in-law, so it makes the most sense for you to stay home and take care of her." The entire dining table went silent. I was about to pick up some vegetables with my chopsticks, but my hand froze in midair. My husband was sitting right beside me. He kept his head down and continued eating, as if the fact that I was being asked to give up my job and my life had nothing to do with him. I slowly put down my chopsticks and tried to keep my voice calm. "Dad, do you mean you want me to quit my job completely and stay home to take care of Mum 24 hours a day?" My father-in-law nodded, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. "Yes, your monthly salary is only a little over 5,000 anyway. Your mother and I will give you 5,000 a month for living expenses. Working outside is tiring and stressful. Isn't it better to stay home and take care of your own family?" Before I could say anything, my sister-in-law, who was sitting across from me, spoke up. "Sister-in-law, you are the eldest daughter-in-law. Taking care of your mother-in-law is something you should do. Or do you expect my father, at his age, to serve her?" I looked at her and smiled. "Then how about this? I'll give you 5,000 every month. You resign from your government job and come home to take care of your own mother. I promise I'll pay you on time, not a single cent short." My sister-in-law's face changed instantly. How could that work? My job is a permanent government position. So many people dream of having it and can't. Besides, how could 5,000 be enough to live on? I still have my own family to take care of. I nodded. "Oh, so 5,000 isn't enough for you to live on, but for me, it is enough to exchange for my job, my freedom, and my future?" She was speechless. My father-in-law frowned and lightly slapped the table. "Don't talk like that. Kelly is a daughter who is already married out. She has her own family now, but you are the daughter-in-law of this family. As a daughter-in-law, you should know your duty." At that moment, I turned to look at my husband. "Do you also think I should quit my job?" Jason raised his head and sighed, as if I were the unreasonable one. "My mother is already in this condition. Can't you make a little sacrifice? It's not like this family can't afford to support you. I'll go out and earn money. You stay home and take care of Mom. That way, the family can live peacefully." I laughed. A cold laugh. So cold that even I could feel my heart go numb. I wiped my mouth with a tissue and stood up. If we are talking about affection, then the first person who should take care of Mom is her husband, Dad. If we are talking about blood relations, Mom has a son, you, and a daughter, Kelly. As for me, Mom never gave birth to me, and she never raised me for even a single day. I looked at everyone at the table and continued. "I can contribute money. I can help when I am free. But asking me to quit my job and become a free caregiver for your whole family, never." After saying that, I picked up my bag and left the dining table. Behind me, my father-in-law shouted angrily, "What kind of daughter-in-law is so unfilial?" I did not look back, because I knew very clearly that if I softened today, the rest of my life would be tied to that sickbed. My name is May. My husband, Jason, and I had been married for just over a year. He ran a small auto repair garage, and his income went up and down every month. I worked as an accountant for a company near our home. My salary was not very high, but it was stable. I had insurance. I had days off. I had colleagues. And I had a life of my own. Last month, my mother-in-law had a stroke. The hospital bills, medicine, and the cost of hiring a caregiver at the hospital were mostly paid by my husband and me. My parents-in-law had pensions. My sister-in-law also had a stable job, but from beginning to end, none of them took the initiative to contribute a clear amount. At that time, I did not calculate too much. I thought that, after all, she was my husband's mother. When family is in trouble, you help as much as you can. But I never expected my kindness to become an obligation in their eyes. That night, Jason came home very late. As soon as he saw me sitting in the living room, he frowned. "What you did today really embarrassed my father. It was his birthday, and you just walked out like that. Do you have any respect for anyone?" I looked up at him. "When your father told me to quit my job, did any of you respect me?" He threw his keys onto the table. "I only want what's best for you. What is so great about working for someone else? Stay home, take care of mom, cook, clean, and later have children. That is what a real family should be like." I asked him, "Then why don't you quit your job?" He laughed with contempt. "Me? I make 8,000 or 9,000 a month, while you only make a little over 5,000. Whoever resigns causes the smaller loss. Can't you figure out something that simple?" I stared at him for a long time. Before this, he had joked several times that he earned more money than I did. I thought those were just casual remarks. But it turned out that deep down, I had always been the one expected to sacrifice first. Because my salary was lower. Because I was a woman. Because I was the daughter-in-law. I stood up and said calmly, "You earn more than I do, that is true. But the rent, groceries, utilities, and gifts for both families mostly come from my salary. You earn 8,000, but after cigarettes, alcohol, drinking with friends, giving money to your parents, and your own personal spending, how much do you have left at the end of the month?" His face turned red. "Are you starting to calculate things with me now?" I looked at him and said each word clearly. "No, I am just finally waking up." That night, we had a huge argument. He said that if I refused to take care of his mother, he would divorce me. After hearing that, I only found it ridiculous. Some men always think divorce is their ultimate weapon to threaten women, but they forget that some marriages are already cages. When the person trapped inside hears the word divorce, she is not afraid. She feels like the door has finally opened. On Monday morning, I went to work as usual. As soon as I entered the office, my department manager called me over. She looked awkward. "May, do you really want to resign?" I froze. "Who said I wanted to resign?" She looked surprised. "Your husband came here this morning. He said your mother-in-law is paralyzed and that your family needs you to stay home to take care of her, so he asked us to process your resignation. Luckily, I haven't submitted the paperwork to HR yet." At that moment, it felt as if all the blood in my body had frozen. I could not believe Jason had dared to come to my company and resign on my behalf without my permission. My job, my life. Since when did he have the right to decide those things for me? I took a deep breath and looked directly at my manager. "I am not resigning. From now on, if anyone comes to the company and speaks on my behalf about anything, please consider it invalid. Only my own signature counts." My manager let out a sigh of relief. That's good. I also found it strange. In this day and age, who still forces a woman to quit her job and become a full-time caregiver? After work, I did not go home. I went straight to Jason's garage. He was sitting there drinking tea with a few mechanics. When he saw me walk in, he looked startled. "What are you doing here?" I did not answer. I walked straight to the rolling shutter and pulled it halfway down. He immediately rushed over. "Are you crazy? I'm doing business here." I looked at him. "If you can go to my company and resign on my behalf, then what is wrong with me coming to your garage and helping you close it?" Seeing the atmosphere turn tense, the mechanics quietly left. Jason gritted his teeth. "I am your husband. I have the right to decide matters in this family." I laughed coldly. "You are my husband, not my creditor. Marrying you does not mean I sold myself to your family." He lowered his voice and changed his approach. "Wife, stop being so stubborn. My mother is bedridden now. Can you really bear to watch her suffer? Dad already said he would give you 5,000 every month. You'll have food and clothes at home and no work pressure. What more do you want?" I looked at the man in front of me. We had only been married for a little over a year, and his gentle mask had already completely fallen off. I said each word clearly. "I will never quit my job." After saying that, I turned around and left. The next evening, my biological father called and told me to come home. As soon as I heard his voice, I knew something was wrong. Sure enough, the moment I stepped through the door, I saw Jason sitting in my father's living room. He was holding a cup of tea with an aggrieved expression, as if he were the one who had been wronged. My father pointed straight at my face. "You married into someone else's family, yet you refuse to care for your sick mother-in-law. What kind of behavior is that? Your husband's family is already giving you living expenses, and you are still acting high and mighty. Did I raise you to become such an unfilial woman?" Since I was little, my father had always been like this. He valued sons over daughters. He had a bad temper, and he was extremely patriarchal. My mother died early, and I grew up surrounded by scolding and beatings. I married Jason partly because I wanted to escape that suffocating home. But now I finally understood something. If I could not stand firmly on my own, I was only moving from one cage to another. I looked at my father and asked, "If you think caring for a sick person is so easy, I'll give you 5,000 a month. Why don't you go to my husband's house and take care of his mother?" My father trembled with anger. "How dare you talk to me like that?" He stood up and raised his hand to slap me. This time, I did not stand still and take it. I stepped back, took out my phone, and turned on the camera. "Go ahead, hit me. If you hit me once, I'll post it for all our relatives, neighbors, and your colleagues to see. Let everyone know just how much this father loves his daughter." My father's hand froze in midair. Jason quickly stepped forward. "Dad, May has just been misled by outsiders. I'll take her home and talk to her slowly." I turned to look at him. "You don't need to keep acting. You came to my father's house simply because you wanted to use him to pressure me. Unfortunately for you, I am no longer the child I used to be, someone anyone could hit or scold whenever they wanted." Then I turned back to my father. "From today on, my affairs are mine to decide. Whether you want to acknowledge me as your daughter or not is up to you, but I will no longer live depending on you." After saying that, I left that house. After that day, Jason stayed quiet for nearly half a month. He no longer mentioned forcing me to resign. He even bought breakfast for me and spoke more gently than before, but I knew it was not because he had changed. He was simply waiting for another opportunity. Sure enough, one Friday evening, I came home from work and saw that the spare bedroom had been cleaned out. Jason was wiping the table when he said, "Tomorrow, my parents are moving in. Prepare yourself. In a few days, you should submit your resignation." I put down my bag. "Who said I'm resigning?" He laughed. "May, stop struggling. You can't go back to your parents' house. This house is mine. Other than me, who do you have to rely on?" I looked at him. My heart no longer hurt. I only found it laughable. He walked closer, his voice sweet like honey. "In the end, a woman still needs a family. Take good care of my parents, give birth to a son for me later, and I won't treat you badly." I asked, "What if I don't agree?" His eyes instantly turned cold. "Then divorce. This house is mine. The car is mine. The savings are also under my name. If you leave here, you will have nothing." I nodded. "Fine, let's divorce." He froze. Perhaps he thought I would cry. Perhaps he thought I would beg. Perhaps he thought I would be afraid. but he did not know that I had been waiting for those words for far too long. That night, when he thought I was asleep, I heard him calling his sister. Just like you said, once I threatened divorce, she immediately went quiet. Women are all like that. Without her own family backing her up, she wouldn't dare go anywhere. This weekend, we'll bring Mom over. Just let her take care of her for a few days. She'll behave soon enough. I lay in the bedroom, gripping the phone that was recording the call. So everything had been their plan all along. The next day, I took half a day off. I went to the bank to print my statements. I consulted a lawyer. Then, I quietly packed my personal documents, certificates, employment contract, and valuable belongings. I did not make a scene. With someone like Jason, arguing was useless. If I wanted to escape, I had to prepare my way out firmly. That weekend, my parents-in-law were brought over. As soon as they entered, my father-in-law ordered me, "Go cook. Your mother needs thin porridge. Your father and Jason will eat rice. Remember to make a plate of braised pork too." My sister-in-law also stood nearby, giving instructions. "Sister-in-law, my mother needs to be wiped down once at night. Her medicine is in that bag. Remember to give it to her on time." I said nothing. I walked into the bedroom and pulled out my suitcase. The whole family immediately fell silent. Jason frowned. "Where are you going with that suitcase?" I looked at him. "To get divorced." My sister-in-law sneered. "Do you think you'll still be valuable after divorce? A woman who has been married once, with no house and no car, who would even want you?" I zipped up my suitcase. "Whether anyone wants me or not does not matter. What matters is that I no longer want this family." My father-in-law angrily scolded me. "You really are an unlucky, ungrateful daughter-in-law. If you step out of this door today, don't ever expect to come back." I nodded. "Don't worry. What I fear most is having to come back here." Seeing that I was truly leaving, Jason hurriedly blocked the door. "Divorce is fine. But you must return the wedding money, the wedding gold, and all the savings." I took a stack of papers from my handbag. "These are the bank statements from the past year. Your mother's hospital bills, medicine, caregiver fees, and household expenses. Most of them came from my salary." Then I raised my phone, and this is the recording of you and your sister discussing how to force me to stay home as a free caregiver. If you want to go to court, go ahead." Jason's face turned pale. My sister-in-law also fell silent. In the end, he still agreed to the divorce, not because he realized he was wrong, but because he was afraid that recording would be played in front of our relatives and in court. The day I held the divorce papers in my hands, I did not cry. I only felt relieved. It was like after a long rain, I could finally breathe again. After the divorce, I rented a small room near my company. During the day, I worked. At night, I studied for an advanced accounting certificate. I lived frugally, took on extra tax report, work for a few familiar shops, and saved money little by little. 3 months later, I got a raise. Half a year later, I moved to a bigger company. 1 year later, I made a down payment on a small apartment under my own name. The day I received the keys, I stood in the empty apartment and suddenly cried. It was not my parents' home. It was not my husband's home. It was my home. I thought that from then on, Jason and I would have nothing to do with each other anymore. But one afternoon, he suddenly appeared at the entrance of my company. He looked thin and haggard. His hair was messy, and his face was exhausted. The moment he saw me, he walked over with a choked voice. "May, I was wrong. Let's remarry." I stepped back. "You're calling the wrong person. We are already divorced." He immediately knelt down in front of me. "I truly regret it. After you left, I finally realized no one treated me as well as you did. The woman my sister introduced to me did have a house and a car, but she made me support her child from a previous relationship. She even sent my parents to a nursing home. Every month, she takes almost all of my salary. I watched him perform this touching act, and quietly turned on my recorder. He continued, "How about you move back in with my parents first? I'll slowly divorce her, and then we'll register our marriage again. This time, I won't force you to quit your job. You only need to help take care of my parents a little when you're free." I almost laughed. After going around in circles, he still wanted to find someone to take care of his parents for free. Just then, a woman's voice sounded behind him. "Who did you say should come back and take care of your parents?" Jason went stiff. I looked over his shoulder and saw a tall woman standing there with a cold expression. It was Jason's current wife. He stammered, "Wife, why are you here?" The woman stepped forward and slapped him hard across the face. "If I hadn't come, how would I know you were kneeling in front of your ex-wife, begging to remarry?" Jason panicked and immediately pointed at me. "She seduced me. She wants to destroy our family." I did not argue. I simply opened my phone and played the recording from earlier. Every word Jason had said rang clearly at the company gate. After the woman finished listening, her face grew darker and darker. She grabbed Jason by the collar and dragged him away. "We'll settle this at home." Before leaving, she turned to look at me. "You're lucky you escaped early." I replied, "It wasn't luck." I pulled myself out. After that day, Jason never appeared in front of me again. A few years later, I heard from an acquaintance that his life was not easy. During the day, he repaired cars. At night, he worked as a ride-hailing driver. His parents lived in a nursing home, and their pension money was controlled by his new wife. The sister-in-law who used to stir things up could not help either, because every family has its own burdens. After hearing that, I only smiled. I did not feel pleased, nor did I pity him, because whether his life was good or bad had long stopped having anything to do with me. Now, I have my own home, my own job, my own savings, my friends, and my freedom. I once thought a woman had to have a family to rely on. Later, I finally understood. A place that looks down on you, forces you to sacrifice, and turns you into a tool to serve others is not a family. A real family does not necessarily have to be your parents' home, nor does it have to be your husband's home. Sometimes it begins the moment you dare to walk out of the door that caused you pain, and build a home for yourself with your own hands.